What is up, guys? Stos here, and I'm back to give you guys another dose of Stos. And today we are talking about the early season in the NBA. There have been some teams that have kind of surpassed expectations, some teams that have underperformed, and then some teams that are kind of just riding the wave right now. And I kind of wanted to focus on some of the teams that have started off really well this season. There's been quite a few. I'm actually gonna pull up the standings here. I'll put that up there for you guys as well. But there are four undefeated teams left in the NBA. You got the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Utah Jazz, and the Portland Trailblazers. Now, two of those teams are pretty surprising to me. It's the two in the Western Conference, obviously. The Utah Jazz and the Trailblazers are both having a pretty good season to start off. I mean, the Portland Trailblazers, they just recently beat the Los Angeles Lakers. Russell Westbrook took a shot he definitely shouldn't have taken. I'll put that right here. And they got just a really big win because of this. And I think it was a momentum shifter for Portland on top of the big overtime win that they got against the Suns. And I'll show you the clip of Dame asking Ayton if he has ever been in this situation before. That was pretty funny because DeAndre Ayton, he had to shoot some very clutch free throws at the end of this game, and unfortunately he wasn't able to make either of them. So yeah, I mean, the Trailblazers, they've played great. They've gotten 3 big wins this season. I think their first win of the year was against, who was it? They beat the Kings, and I'm pretty sure Damian Lillard has been playing like his old usual self recently. He struggled a little bit in game 1, but they still got the win. And then I think against the Lakers last night, he dropped like 45 points or something like that. Yeah, 41. So Damian's looking like Dame Dollar, and the Trailblazers are off to a fast start. But I want to pivot to the Utah Jazz for a second because the Jazz, they made a huge trade at the beginning of this season before the season had started, trading away Donovan Mitchell. They also traded away their big man, Rudy Gobert. And I tweeted something, actually, after the Donovan Mitchell trade. And I said in my tweet, I'll pop it up for you guys, that I personally thought that the Utah Jazz won the trade. They received Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, another player that I can't think off of the top of my head. His name's like super hard to pronounce. And then they also got 5 first-round picks. So, I mean, they stacked up on draft capital on top of getting a really good young point guard in Colin Sexton, who honestly, in my opinion, I don't think the difference between Colin Sexton and Donovan Mitchell is big enough for it to be 5 first-round picks and a good role player like Lauri Markkanen. Like, in my opinion, I think the Jazz did everything they needed in that trade. They got everything that they wanted in that trade. And then as for the Cavaliers, they got the star that they wanted as well. They were struggling with having both Darius Garland and Colin Sexton on the same team, so they had to pick one of them. Obviously, they chose Garland. But it's just really looking like this trade is working out for the Jazz right now. I mean, they have a ton of guys that are trying to prove themselves, yet they are still 3-0. They traded away their 2 best players and have just dominated to start off this season, just playing really good team basketball. I want to go into some of the stats that they have so far this year, and it's actually quite surprising, guys. So if you look at Utah's schedule so far, they have played the Pelicans, Timberwolves, and the Nuggets. That's 3 playoff teams right there, guys. And in opening night, they killed the Nuggets, winning by 21. Then they play the Timberwolves, who have Rudy Gobert, their center that they traded, and they win in overtime. So they show that they can win a big game in OT. And then they go to OT again in their very next game against the Pelicans and squeeze out of there with a 1-point win. And if you're asking me, I think the Pelicans are a super good up-and-coming team. I mean, they're young. They have some really good players. I mean, Zion Williamson is almost impossible to guard. There are very few people in the league that can guard him. Brandon Ingram as well is just a great scorer. I'm pretty sure he's actually in concussion protocol right now. But, I mean, the Pelicans are a very good team, and the Jazz still found a way to beat them in overtime, back-to-back overtime wins, actually. And They're actually playing the Rockets right now. It's a close game. The first quarter just started, but I kind of wanted to just touch on the Jazz because a lot of people are talking about how this team is going to be tanking for Victor, and in my opinion, I think they're too good to get him. Honestly, they're 3-0 right now. I know it's a long season, and obviously this probably won't continue for that long for them, but they look like a good team that knows what they're doing. They have players that can score the basketball. They can defend relatively well as a team. So I think the Utah Jazz actually have a good core around them right now. They just need a few more superstar pieces, and they'll be back in the running for those playoff spots. You know what I mean? And so those were the two teams I wanted to talk to you guys about off rip because they're two teams that are completely overperforming compared to their expectations. And then when we go to the East, you got the Celtics who are 3-0, who are dominating against pretty good teams. They beat the Sixers on opening night, and they also beat the Orlando Magic, and there was one other team that they beat, the Heat. So they beat the 76ers by 9, the Heat by 7, and then the Magic by 6. So relatively close games, but Jason Tatum has been absolutely balling. I mean, if we're talking about a player who is continuing to show that he is willing to get better each and every season, I mean, he struggled in the finals, and right now he is averaging, I think, close to 35 points on the year. He won the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, first week of the season. Jaylen Brown is also averaging around 30 points, so that duo is doing exactly what they need to in order to win. I mean, averaging around 65 to 70 points combined is pretty insane. Obviously, it's only 3 games through the season, but still, that's what the Celtics need. And then the Bucks are the Bucks. I mean, you have one of the best players, if not the best player in basketball, with Giannis Antetokounmpo. You have Chris Middleton, Andrew Holiday, who are finally going to be healthy, and they're playing well also. So all 4 of these teams are doing exactly what they want to do. The Bucks and Celtics are 2 teams that expect to contend, and then the Trailblazers and the Jazz are 2 of those teams that probably didn't expect to have the best season this season, but are overperforming, and that's exactly what you want to see from them. So if you're a Trailblazers fan, if you're a Jazz fan, you're definitely happy with the way this season has started, especially with the fact that there's not a lot of there's not a lot of star power, I guess is the word to say, on those 2 teams. Obviously, the Trailblazers do have Damian Lillard, but you look at the Utah Jazz, there's really no star power on that roster whatsoever, yet they've still found a way to be 3-0 and compete in these games. And there's going to be some players on that team that are looking for a contract from another team next season per se. I know Jordan Clarkson might be on the last year of his deal. If he's not, he's definitely only got another year after this. So he's going to be looking for a contract. And there's a few other guys. But let's pivot over to some teams that have been struggling. And the one that's on the top of everybody's list, the Los Angeles Lakers. I'll tell you guys right now, the Los Angeles Lakers will not be competing for an NBA championship this year. I've seen enough. I saw last season how that worked out. I saw the season before. I mean, the Lakers are not the same team that they were in the bubble. It's been 2 to 3 years since then now, and you can just tell there's some severe problems with the way the offense is ran. I saw Anthony Davis shoot a 3 that literally hit the side of the backboard. LeBron literally chucked up a logo 3 that looked like it was 5 feet short. And they can't shoot in general, so I'm confused as to why they take shots like this. When you're a team that doesn't have many shooters, you want to be more cohesive as a team to find those open shots so that you actually get good looks from 3. Not chucking up these contested 3s, these deep 3s. As we saw, obviously, the video of Russell Westbrook literally shooting a pull-up jumper. Obviously, it was a mid-range shot. It wasn't from 3, but he literally shot a pull-up jumper with like 31 seconds left in a full shot clock, absolutely bricked it, and then gives like Dame Time the ball, and he goes down, he pulls up a 3, obviously he swishes it, and they lose the game. So I just continue to wonder, why do the Lakers continue to force these shots when they know that they're not a shooting team? Drive to the basket. You have LeBron James, one of the best drivers of all time. I mean, the man can get to the rim with a blink of an eye whenever he wants. You have Anthony Davis, one of the best big men in the league, but you guys continue to choose to shoot threes. Yes, it's a 3-point dominant league. You need to be able to shoot the three ball to win. But you're not going to win when you shoot the three ball 21 times and you make it twice. Why not shoot it 10 times instead with 10 good looks rather than forcing 20 bad ones and make 4 or 5 of them? That's so much better. It's more efficient. And now you actually have a chance to win the ball game. It's so hard for me because LeBron is arguably the greatest player of all time. Obviously, that's a debate, but a lot of people believe that. Yet this team continues to struggle so much. I like the addition of Patrick Beverley, but at the same time, it also makes zero sense. He can't shoot. There's not a single player on this team that I am confident in their shooting ability. Maybe Austin Reeves or Carmelo Anthony at times, but the Lakers don't have a single consistent shooter. So that's basically all I have to say about the Lakers. Like, all they need to do is change the way that they're playing, but they just continue to do the same thing for 3 seasons in a row, and it's really just mind-boggling to me. It makes zero sense. Moving on to another team that is struggling on my list a little bit. Now, I wouldn't say they're struggling that bad, but guys, the 76ers are not real contenders. I see way too many videos on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, whatever, by basketball content creators that literally are acting like this Sixers team can get to the conference finals or farther. No. This is a first round or second round team. This team never shows up when it matters. Ever. I mean, James Harden is playing better, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be enough. Tyrese Maxey is a good player, but he doesn't push you over the edge against teams like the Bucks or the Celtics. At the end of the day, in a 7-game series, I'm taking the Bucks or the Celtics over the Sixers every time. There's also a few teams in the league that I might also take over them in a 7-game series. Not in the league, but in the East. Like the Atlanta Hawks, for example. I think the addition of DeJounte Murray is huge for them. They have a ton of scorers. They have some good rebounding. I wouldn't say Atlanta's defense is the best, but they do have some good wing defenders. And I think that they could give a team like the Sixers a hard time. I don't think the Sixers match up well against a lot of the good teams in the league. If you match the Sixers up against the Celtics, I mean, you put Robert Williams on Joel Embiid, and he's not going to be giving you 35 a night. You do the same thing when they play the Bucks. Giannis is going to be guarding Joel Embiid. He's not going to give you 35 a night. So now you're basically relying on James Harden and Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey to really carry the load for your team. And once you're past those 4 guys, honestly, there's not a lot of depth on that Sixers team. A lot of the actual contending teams in the league lately, and honestly just in the history of the NBA, always have depth. And when I look at the 76ers roster, I just don't see enough of that. I think their lineup is super top heavy, and I think that's going to end up hurting them in the end. Maybe they prove me wrong. Joel Embiid obviously has the potential to win his first MVP this season. I think he finished in second last year, right behind Nikola Jokic. But the 76ers, they got to do a lot to actually show me that they're a winning caliber team. I think they already lost to the Celtics and the Bucks this year already. Let me check their schedule. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're 0-3 actually. They've lost to the Celtics, the Bucks, and they somehow lost to the Spurs, who are literally rebuilding. So, I mean, if you can name 5 players on the Spurs, I'd be surprised. Like, they are in full rebuild mode. So the fact that the Sixers lost to them just kind of shows me that they're really not. They're pretenders, guys. But yeah, I hope you guys got your dose of Stos. I always have a great time talking to you guys about the NBA and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys for another video soon.